But then all of a sudden on July 16th, things changed. Because what happened on July 16th? We had the test of the first atomic bomb. And it worked. I have to point out here right now and everything that we dropped 2 different atomic bombs over there. Our bomb, which we dropped on Hiroshima, was the simplest bomb that we could conceive of and the least likely to be a dud. Least likely to be a dud. Operated on a very simple principle. We had a chunk of uranium up here in the front of a small cannon. We have a chunk of uranium back here at the back of a small cannon. We fired the cannon. The 2 pieces came together. We had a critical mass and we got an atomic explosion. That bomb operated on uranium-235, which was one of the isotopes of uranium. There were about 4 isotopes of uranium-235, and it was a very, very hard to separate the fissionable isotope, U-235, from the others. The women used to do it up at the Oak Ridge on a big cyclotron. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you'd ever walked through there with an iron wrench in your pocket, you'd have been just taking it right over to the cyclotron. It had that much magnetic force in it and everything else. The second bomb that we dropped was a bomb we dropped on here at Nagasaki. That was a bomb that was based on plutonium. It fired from a circle of explosives around the nose of it, which had to be fired in a very, very precise time. It compressed the plutonium into a critical mass, and you got your explosion that way. By the way, right now, I should point out my nomination for the man with the most guts in this world, the man who invented that fuse to fire that plutonium bomb, was nominated to babysit the bomb on the tower out at the test in New Mexico. And he knew that an electrical storm could set off the bomb. And he was sitting up there reading with I think he had a 60-watt bulb up there, I'm not sure. Sitting up there in that tower by the atomic bomb, reading it with electrical storms all around him. Well, that man, he was either the most stupid man in the world or had more guts than anyone I ever saw in my life. Okay, then we also started getting word after the test in New Mexico. And by the way, most people would quickly ask me, did you know about it? We knew everything that the scientists could possibly tell us. They didn't know much either, I might point out. But as much as they could tell us, they did. We were not like a bunch of mushrooms with our heads in a sack and everything, not knowing what was going on. After, I think it was then about the last part of July, I'm not sure what date, probably the 28th, 29th, when we finally got word that President Truman, had approved the use of the bombs. Now, he gave us blanket approval at that time to use the bombs as we saw fit and as we got ahead and as they were produced. After the first 2 were dropped, he withdrew that blanket approval and said, no, I have to approve every one from now on, which kind of tells you what he was thinking after the bombs actually started exploding. We were also at this time given some of the things we had to do when the bomb exploded. We took the bomb up there and exploded. Number one, we were told we had to drop the bomb by visually. We could not take it up there and drop it through the clouds by radar, the way we had been doing dropping some of the bombs over in England. The scientists had to know where that bomb was going. They told us also if we took it up there and could not drop it visually, take it out and drop it in the ocean. Do not bring it back to the base with you. I think that made a lot of sense, because if we'd have crashed on landing or something of that type, one of our bases would have been missing. Second, we were told we had to drop instruments at the same time the bomb was dropped. To do this, we had another airplane, Chuck Sweeney's airplane, and we had instruments on his airplane on parachute. And when a bomb left our plane, a radio signal broke, and the instruments left Sweeney's plane. These instruments were on parachute. To this day, you'll find a lot of Japanese who will say the bomb was dropped by parachute. It was not. What they saw in a parachute were the instruments that were dropped out of Sweeney's plane. Everybody wants to know, what were these instruments? I don't know. If a scientist is smart enough to invent an atomic bomb, to me, they're smart enough to invent instruments to measure the force of the blast. So if anyone wants to know what were the instruments, I just call them, they were bang meters. What the devil. Third, we were also told we had to get pictures of the bomb when it exploded. And to do that, we took a third airplane with us, George Marquardt's plane, which was going to lag us by about 30 miles. He'd be flying right toward the city of Hiroshima when a bomb exploded. We put a nice fast text camera up in the nose to get pictures and everything else. And George was sitting right where he was supposed to that day, aimed right at the target. Damn camera didn't work. So we didn't get any pictures of it. The best pictures we have of that were taken by, I think, George's navigator with one little handheld camera. And you see a lot of pictures of down the dark corner and everything else. So that was a picture taken by George's navigator.